Ladies and gentlemen, it is happening. The final blow has been launched, and as we speak, Iran's entire power structure is collapsing in real time. President Trump held the line, Israel struck first, and now everybody's running for cover. Now, I want you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to share with you guys, because in the last 72 hours, we've seen one of the most strategic, most ruthless, and most history-shifting military takedowns in modern times. China and Russia, gone. Iranian proxies, silent. Missile strikes, escalating. And now Mossad has hijacked Iranian TV and is telling citizens to overthrow the regime. Oh, you haven't heard that on CNN? You didn't see that on MSNBC? Well, of course not, because while the media distracts you with nonsense, Trump and Israel just pulled off the checkmate. Now, this is not a ceasefire. This is a collapse. But here's the wildest part here. President Trump still hasn't given the final go order yet. And if you think that this ends with a handshake and a peace deal, you haven't been paying attention. So of course, I'm going to share with you guys how Iran's closest allies vanished the moment missiles started flying, why Trump's hesitation may be the most brilliant trap yet, and how Israel has now taken over Iran's national airwaves and is calling for Ayatollah's head. So do not blink, guys. Don't scroll, because by the end of today's video, you're going to understand exactly why this isn't just another regional conflict. This is regime ending. All right, so let's not sugarcoat this, okay? Iran struck first. They thought that they were calling America's bluff. They thought Trump was just another politician too afraid to respond decisively. Apparently, they were wrong. Just a few days ago, while most of the world was still blinking from the shock of Israel's rapid campaign, Iran escalated. They ran a wave of missile attacks, essentially including direct hits to Haifa, one of Israel's key port cities. Now, 20 civilians were injured, 3 of them in critical condition, including a teenage boy who took a piece of shrapnel straight to the chest. But the most heartbreaking part about all this, a woman just trying to rush her children to safety collapsed and didn't make it. She had a heart attack on her way to the shelter. Now, what did Iran say? Well, they tried to claim that they were aiming at a nearby intelligence facility some 2 kilometers away from the hospital. Well, too bad for them that their excuse didn't carry any weight anymore, because when civilians are falling down and being taken out in the streets, when a mother passes away with her arms stretched out trying to shield her kids, there's really no justification that holds up for that. Can I get an amen, guys? And Israel? They didn't hesitate. They didn't issue warnings. They didn't call for some kind of a press conference. They just launched fire. Over the past 48 hours, the Israeli Defense Forces initiated a round-the-clock military campaign, unlike anything that we've seen in this region in years. More than 50 fighter jets in constant rotation, 24/7 aerial bombardment, direct precision strikes on 45 strategic cities or sites rather. These aren't just token targets. They hit the Iraq heavy water reactor, a core facility for plutonium production, the Fordow underground nuclear facility once thought to be impenetrable, multiple military compounds, weapons caches, and this is really important, Iran's scientific and military leadership hubs. Now, guys, we're talking about decapitation strikes, eliminating the minds behind the machines, and now multiple sources confirm Iran's air force is crippled. Their most important military figures are gone. The regime's technological edge vaporized. Now, let me say it again, guys. They struck first. Now they're on their knees. But here's the twist that most people are not talking about. As Iran bleeds, where are their allies? Now, if you appreciate the daily news updates, please take a second, hit the like button for the video, and subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate your support. Now, if you're paying more than you should for Medicare, you're not alone, because you don't have to stay stuck, okay? You do not have to stay stuck. Listen to Sharon. She was kicked off of Medicaid, and she was struggling with the costs. And who could blame her, right? With high inflation and the cost of everything nowadays, the economy, right? Then she called Chapter, who helped her to land a brand new plan with $0 premiums, $0 medication costs, and copays ended up being reduced from $89 to $20. Then, of course, there's Nancy, another great story. She's 78 years old. She's a viewer of ours. words. She said, Chapter just saved me $600 a year. I pay $1,500 a month in rent. This savings may let me stay in my home. Wow. I just love hearing that, Nancy. Thank you so much for leaving your comment. Hey guys, these are not rare wins. These are everyday people just like you watching the show, finally getting the help that they deserve. Give our friends at Chapter a call and see how much money you can save. I'll leave a number for Chapter down below in the pinned comment or in the description of this video. You can also hit them up on their website at askchapter.org/Ron, because your health and your peace of mind should not be optional. Now, guys, remember all the noise we used to hear, like all the headlines last year screaming that China, Russia, and Iran were forming an unbreakable axis? Oh, let's not forget about the New World Order that was rising, one that would challenge the West, end American dominance, and dethrone Israel's intelligence and influence. Well, where are they now? Right? Let's start with China, because just weeks ago, there were whispers that Chinese cargo planes were landing in Iran under the cover of night, delivering God knows what, right? Some claimed it was fuel. Some people claimed, or some sources were claiming it was munitions. Some even speculated it was advanced radar systems. Well, guess what, guys? Not a single one of those claims ever has been confirmed. No footage, no witnesses, no Chinese support on the battlefield. But let's talk Russia. Putin, the tough guy, the so-called master of military power, hasn't done a damn thing, really. No joint drills, no strategic airlifts, not even a stern warning to Israel or the United States, nothing. Then, of course, there's North Korea, Iran's longtime missile buddy, silent, completely absent from the chessboard. Even Iran's own diplomats are starting to panic because they realize they've been left out to dry. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, he said it best. They've abandoned the regime. And he's right, not just militarily, but diplomatically, strategically, psychologically. They don't want to get caught on the wrong side of history. They don't want to risk a confrontation with Trump because, unlike Biden, Trump doesn't bluff. And that's the difference. Under Biden, China and Russia, they had free reign. Iran was flush with support. There were joint operations. There were oil deals, drone coordination, you name it. But now with Trump back in charge, the entire equation has flipped. China and Russia are out. Iran is isolated, and Trump, he's playing 5 moves ahead. But here's the best part that really should make every Iranian general should lose sleep every night over this one, okay? Trump hasn't even launched the strike yet. Oh, but it is coming. But the longer he waits, the more it looks like he's setting the trap. Now, of course, I want to walk you through the exact moment that the strike window opened, what President Trump's team's waiting for, and why this delay might be the earliest or possibly the deadliest part of the strategy. Now, here's the part that just keeps both Tehran and the Pentagon on edge. Because although Israel's already unleashed wave after wave of firepower, Trump hasn't moved yet. Not officially, but everything's in place. Let's rewind to the White House press briefing about 48 hours ago, shall we? Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, she stepped up to the mic with a message that was directly from President Trump, and it was crystal clear. Based on the fact that there is a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. Now, that at face value kind of sounds like a delay. But if you know anything about President Trump, especially in wartime posture, you know this is not about diplomacy. This is about timing. It's about positioning. This is about making Iran and the world think they have time when they absolutely don't. And we know that this isn't just idle talk. Sources close to CENTCOM have confirmed that strike packages have already been greenlit. Target maps have already been finalized. Pilots are on standby. Weapons are locked. Air assets have been airborne and in position since like 2 nights ago. And so we've even got B-2 Spirit bombers. Yes, the ones that can fly undetected across continents. They have already completed their multiple dry runs out of the Diego Garcia and Al Udeid base, Air Force Base. Let's not forget about the KC-135 Stratotankers. These are mid-air refueling aircrafts. They have been orbiting in holding patterns, waiting for the go-ahead, waiting for the green light. All of this is left for Trump to say one word, go. But he hasn't yet, okay? But here's why the silence might be the worst and possibly the most dangerous sound in the world right now. Because while Iran scrambles to count its losses and patch together broken radar systems, Trump's giving them just enough rope to hang themselves. But don't take it from me, guys. Even Israeli officials, they're saying the quiet part out loud. In a recent interview with the Times of Israel, one defense insider said the expectation is that the United States, join, but no one's pushing them. They have to make their own decision. And it can be, maybe it can't be 2 weeks. That's what they're saying. Now, let me say this again. It cannot be 2 weeks. Those are their words, not mine, because Israel's already moving in on Fort Al and they're not going to wait, right? So that 2-week timeline is kind of like a smokescreen. It's a tactical misdirection, if you will. And we've seen President Trump do this before in Syria, in Afghanistan, even with North Korea. Say one thing to the cameras, right? You say one thing to the cameras, and then you go ahead and strike when the enemy least expects it. And this brings us to a critical crossroads. Does President Trump let Israel just finish the job alone? Or does he unleash the full might of the U.S. military for the final blow? Because make no mistake, if he does, there's not going to be anything left. But before we even get into that, there's one more layer of this decision that nobody's talking about. And it has everything to do with Fort Al, bunker busters, and whether the strike would even work the way that we hope it would. So now a lot of people are asking the following questions, right? If the strike window's open, if the planes are fueled, if the targets are marked, why hasn't Trump given the go order? And the answer might surprise you. It's not fear. Does anybody think Trump's scared? It's not indecision. It's not politics. It's math. It's physics. It's Fort Al. Let me explain, okay? The Fort Al nuclear facility isn't just some building. It's really a fortress, and it's buried deep under the mountains of Iran, reinforced with layers and layers of concrete, steel, and rock. It was designed to survive a direct hit, to absorb bomb after bomb and still function. It is quite literally built to withstand the kind of airstrike that we're all talking about. And Trump already knows that. So behind closed doors, multiple reports confirm he's asked his generals the same cold, logical question. If we can't destroy it completely, why are we even talking about doing it? And he's not wrong. Deploying something like the GBU-57 bunker buster, which is a 30,000-pound monster, it exposes our capabilities. And once it's used, adversaries like China and Russia gain insights into range, depth, blast radius, and a whole lot of other details that they don't know right now. And for what, right? If Fort Al still has a single centrifuge spinning after the smoke clears, the propaganda war is lost. Iran declares victory, and the escalation begins all over again. So Trump's hesitation, it's not weakness, it's calculation. But here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. Israel may have just solved the problem because according to the high-level intel and confirmed leaks out of the IDF, essentially Israel is now saying that they have the ability to take out Fort Al alone. Yes, without American involvement. No B-2s, no bunker busters, no aircraft carriers, none of that. They're already saying that they have mapped the facility, that they've run simulators, and they've confirmed that Operation Rising Lion, the same operation that hijacked Iran's state TV broadcasts, includes deep infiltration teams capable of disabling internal systems from the inside. So let that sink in for a second, okay? So while we've been watching from the skies, right, Mossad may already be underground, and Trump knows that. So now he faces a rather crucial strategic decision. Should America risk exposing its stealth technology if Israel already has the means to finish the job quietly, right? So it's now a matter of, can Israel carry out the job for us? It's really a question of efficiency, leverage, and power optics. Because if Israel can pull it off and Trump lets them, he still wins. No American lives lost, no international blowback, and the world sees exactly what happens when you stand alone and threaten the West. But there's one more layer to this that you need to understand. Even if Fort Al fails, if Fort Al falls, even if the Ayatollah's most sacred site is reduced to rubble, who's going to come and save Iran? Spoiler, no one. So I want to talk about what might be the most devastating blow of all. Not the bombs, not the strikes, not the sanctions, the silence. Because if you followed Middle Eastern conflict for the last 5 minutes, you already know that Iran already has a deep bench, right? They've always had a deep bench, a network of terror proxies ready to fire at a moment's notice, right? So where are they now? Where is Hezbollah? Where are the Houthis? Where are the Shiite militias in Iraq and Syria? Well, they're nowhere. Not one of them has lifted a finger since Israel turned the skies over Iran into a storm of fire. Not one has retaliated since missiles started landing near hospitals and reactors. Not one has fulfilled the mission Iran spent millions and millions of dollars funding. Why? Because they believe it's over. And don't take it from me. Listen to what an Israeli general told reporters off the record. Hezbollah still has thousands of missiles, but they haven't fired a single one. They've lost their will. They believe Iran is finished. Now, that's not just military strategy. That is psychological defeat, and it is spreading fast. All across the region, Iran's influence is vaporizing, it's evaporating, and allies, they're falling silent. Diplomats are fleeing embassies, and now even their own citizens, yes, inside Iran, they're tearing down posters of the Ayatollah on live television. Let's not forget, guys, this regime for decades has propped itself up with the illusion of unity, that this idea that if you strike Iran, the whole region rises. But now, you strike Iran, nobody answers. And you want to know who orchestrated this entire unraveling? Donald J. Trump. Because while Biden's administration fed Iran cash and cover, Trump came back with tariffs, threats, and tactical patience. And now he's holding every card on the table. Israel is all in. Proxies are silent. China and Russia are gone. The U.S. strike package is ready. And Iran, isolated, vulnerable. Now here's a real question. What happens next? Because Trump isn't just trying to protect Israel or score political points. He's trying to reshape the entire balance of power in the Middle East permanently. Here's the thing. The world is really holding its breath right now because Iran is scrambling to try to sweep the ashes of its nuclear program under the rug. And while its so-called allies, China, Russia, North Korea, vanish or continue to vanish from view, President Trump is huddled with his national security team right now, reviewing the final playbook. Sources inside the administration have already confirmed that Trump has already held 4, possibly even 5 deep dive meetings with the Joint Chiefs, CENTCOM, and top intelligence officials. Now, these aren't just updates. These are scenario drills. They're walking through, okay? They're walking through what a limited precision strike would look like. What happens if Iran retaliates against U.S. assets? What a full-scale air campaign would do to the region, and what happens if the Ayatollah chooses to run, or worse, fight to the bitter end. This isn't speculation. This is wartime preparation. And we now know that on Tuesday, June 24th, just days from now, the U.S. Senate has scheduled a classified all-senators briefing to discuss the Iran-Israel conflict. Now, let me tell you something. You don't call in every senator for a secure door session unless something big is about to happen. You know what I'm saying? And while the media plays dumb, or maybe they're not playing, while the fact checkers nitpick missile ranges and bunker depths, the truth is this: the most volatile regime in the Middle East is now the most vulnerable it's been in 45 years. Its proxies are quiet, its allies are missing, its facilities are burning, and its leadership hiding. And at the center of it all, Donald J. Trump, the one man left holding the hammer. So let's bring it all full circle. They're gone. China, gone. Russia, gone. Even Iran's own regional army of terror has gone dead silent. And Trump, he's not backing down. He's not leaving weakness. He's not leaking weakness out here. He's doing exactly what Iran fears the most, waiting in total control. And that's the final blow. Because whether the strike order comes tonight or this weekend or right after the June 24th briefing, the message is already clear. Iran stands alone, and the next sound they hear might not be a warning. It might be a warhead. So here's what I want you to do. If you made it this far in this video, smash the like button, subscribe right now for the next update, because when Trump gives the order, we're going to be the first to break the news. Oh, and drop a comment. Do you think President Trump should strike now or let Israel finish the job for him? This is so far from over, guys. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Hey, by the way, guys, if you're one of the real ones who really enjoy what we do here on the channel, you've got to check out the Inner Circle. This is where our true supporters get exclusive access to content that I just can't share here, completely commercial free. It's also the best way to keep this channel going strong. So if you want to be a part of something special, join us over there. Links in the description or in the pinned comment down below.